A true tale of creepy food horror. It was a cold and stormy night. The kind of night that sent shivers down your spine. The rain was pouring in torrents, and the wind howled through the trees like a pack of hungry wolves. I had just moved to a new city and was still getting used to the unfamiliar streets and the eerie silence that enveloped the neighborhood after dark. As I sat alone in my dimly lit apartment, hunger gnawed at my stomach. The thought of venturing out into the storm to find food was less than appealing, so I decided to order a late-night delivery. I grabbed my phone and browsed through the various food delivery apps, searching for something to satisfy my hunger. After a few minutes of scrolling, I stumbled upon a restaurant I hadn't noticed before. It was called the Midnight Bites, and its menu boasted an array of mouth-watering dishes. The reviews were mixed, but the promise of a quick delivery won me over. I placed an order for a classic pepperoni pizza and eagerly awaited my latte night feast. The estimated delivery time was 30 minutes, which was impressive given the weather conditions. I settled into my couch, wrapped in a cozy blanket, and turned on the TV to pass the time. Minutes turned into hours, and the storm outside raged on. The sound of raindrops pelting against my window pane became a symphony of nature's fury. I checked my phone to see if there was any update on my delivery, but there was nothing. It was as if the Midnight Bites had vanished into thin air. Anxiety crept in as I dialed the restaurant's number, but there was no answer. Frustration and hunger gnawed at me, and I began to regret my decision to order from this mysterious place. Just as I was about to give up and make some instant noodles, I heard a faint knock at my door. Startled, I paused the TV and listened intently. The knocking grew louder and more persistent. I cautiously approached the door, wondering who could be out there in such a dreadful storm. As I peered through the peephole, my heart skipped a beat. Standing on my doorstep was a delivery person, drenched from head to toe in rainwater. They wore a tattered hooded cloak that concealed most of their features. The only thing visible was a pair of piercing, ice-cold eyes that seemed to bore into my soul. I hesitated for a moment, but eventually opened the door, the aroma of freshly baked pizza wafting through the air. The delivery person handed me the pizza box without saying a word and abruptly turned to leave. Before they could disappear into the night, I asked, "How much do I owe you?" They paused, their eyes never leaving mine. Finally, in a raspy voice that sent chills down my spine, they whispered, "Your soul." I laughed nervously, convinced it was a bizarre attempt at humor. But as I reached into my pocket to grab some cash, I realized that I couldn't find my wallet. Panic surged through me as I realized that I had left it on the kitchen counter. I turned back to apologize to the delivery person, but they had vanished into the darkness. Shaking off the eerie encounter as a figment of my imagination, I closed the door and returned to my couch with the pizza. Despite the strange encounter, the smell of the food was irresistible, and my hunger got the better of me. I opened the pizza box, and to my surprise, the pepperoni slices formed an eerie pattern that resembled a devil's face. I laughed again, attributing it to my overactive imagination and the unsettling atmosphere outside. I took a bite of the pizza, but it tasted unlike anything I had ever eaten before. The cheese was cold and slimy. The sauce had a metallic tang, and the pepperoni had an unsettling texture. I spat out the bite, feeling nauseous. As I examined the pizza more closely, I noticed something even more disturbing. The cheese appeared to be moving, as if it were alive. It oozed and writhed, forming grotesque shapes on top of the pizza. I couldn't believe my eyes and wondered if I was hallucinating. Fear and revulsion overcame me, and I rushed to the kitchen sink to wash my mouth. But as I turned on the tap, instead of water, a thick black ooze poured out, emitting a foul stench that filled the air. I stumbled back in horror, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to get out of that apartment. I grabbed my coat and ran towards the door, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if an invisible force held it shut. Panic set in as I desperately pounded on the door, screaming for help, but there was no response. The storm outside intensified, and the eerie atmosphere in my apartment seemed to close in around me. I rushed to the windows, hoping to escape through one of them. But they were all sealed shut, and the curtains were drawn tight, as if someone had anticipated my every move. It was then that I realized I was trapped, and the realization sent shivers down my spine. With no other options, I returned to the couch, my mind racing. I picked up my phone and dialed 911, but the call wouldn't go through. The screen displayed only static and distorted images. I felt a presence in the room, an unseen entity watching and waiting. The air grew colder, and the room seemed to darken, even though it was still the middle of the night. As I sat there, helpless and terrified, I heard a faint whisper in the darkness. It was the same raspy voice from earlier, the voice of the delivery person who had handed me the cursed pizza. It spoke in a language I couldn't understand, but the words sent chills down my spine. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered and went out, plunging me into total darkness. I could hear the whispering voice getting closer, its words growing more sinister. It felt as though something was closing in on me, something malevolent and otherworldly. In the pitch black darkness, I felt a presence right beside me. I could sense its cold, clammy breath on my neck, and the feeling of dread intensified. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the darkness. The last thing I remember before everything went black was the sensation of icy fingers closing around my throat. The next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital bed, bathed in cold sweat, with doctors and nurses surrounding me. They told me I had been found unconscious in my apartment, and it took them hours to revive me. I tried to tell them about the cursed pizza and the sinister presence in my apartment, but they dismissed it as a hallucination brought on by the stress of moving to a new city. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that what happened that night was real. The memory of those chilling encounters still haunts me, and I can't help but wonder if the Midnight Bites was more than just a restaurant. Was it a portal to a dark and malevolent realm? Or simply a nightmarish coincidence? I may never know, but I'll never order food from an unknown place in the middle of a storm again.